this is one that I've been mulling doing for some time. Actually, I've been mulling and contemplating doing this video ever since Spider-Man No Way Home. And today, I just got that tingle, shall we say, of doing it. And I decided to do it on this guy right here. So, without further ado, let's begin. Okay, first things first. Let's get this out the way right now. For the record, I actually enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home. I actually do like all three Spider-Man on different levels. I liked Andrew Garfield's slightly darker take on the character of Peter Parker. Tom Holland took a minute to grow on me because he was just so annoying, but I gotta admit, he won me over as Spider-Man Peter Parker in the last two films, Far From Home and of course No Way Home. I'll admit, he won me over in those two movies. And of course, Mr. Tobey Maguire, who is my favorite Spider-Man of the modern live-action Spider-Man actors that played. Partially because his performance was pretty much spot on, especially for fans who have read the stories from the 60s of The Amazing Spider-Man. And he reminded me a little bit of the guy that I'm going to talk about right now. Here is my childhood Spider-Man. His name is Nicholas Hammond, who had actually been around in acting for several years prior to 1977. Most notably as one of the Von Trapp children in the classic musical The Sound of Music. Nicholas Hammond was actually the second man to put on the Spider-Man costume, as there was a guy earlier for a TV children's show called The Electric Company who actually played Spider-Man. I believe his name was Danny Seagram. However, he only played Spider-Man. He did not play the dual identity. That's why a lot of people, myself included, tend to think of Nicholas Hammond first as the first guy to play Spider-Man, even though technically he was the second. But we tend to think of him as the first because he actually played the dual identity of Spider-Man and of Peter Parker. Now, one of the complaints about this version is that he played a decidedly older Peter Parker. Peter Parker traditionally has always been about 16 or 17 or portrayed that way, and that's the way he's been portrayed in recent films. The Tobey Maguire, the Andrew Garfield, and definitely the Tom Holland, who his is decidedly about 15, 16 when he started, decidedly, or at least 15, 16 looking. But Nicholas Hammond was already a grad student in college. A lot of people criticize it for that, but I personally look at it as, hey, this could be an Elseworld or a what if Spider-Man got his powers in his mid-20s, which is about what Nicholas Hammond was playing. He was playing a young guy in his early to mid-20s, which was, when you look back on it now, it was a different take, a very different take on this character. And Nicholas Hammond, if I had to be honest, I loved it as a kid. But looking back on it as a grown man, it does not hold up very well. In fact, none of the Marvel properties of that era. Because there was a Captain America in the 70s, there was a Doctor Strange, and there was, of course, The Incredible Hulk, starring the late Bill Bixby and, of course, Lou Ferrigno. And of those four, only The Incredible Hulk has really survived to be a fan favorite, not only among casual audiences, but definitely diehard Marvel fans. Spider-Man is a mixed bag. You have your diehards like myself, and by the way, shout out to Spider-Man TV series channel, which I'm gonna have some information on them at the end of this video. But then you have ones that try to avoid and dismiss this one. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. I've already covered the age. But another thing that they said was Spider-Man didn't quip in this series. Well, he didn't do it very much. He was usually silent when he was Spider-Man. But I have 3 examples of times that he did quip while in costume.
I don't know how you did it, but Angel doesn't fail twice.
There has to be a first time for everything.
Thanks, had to be a barbarian sandwich.
If I hadn't pulled out the bologna.
Hey, come back. Great.
I'm sorry if I scared you, but I had to talk to you. I have something important to say.
You could have phoned.
Would you believe me if I called and said I was Spider-Man? You got a point.
Another misconception of this series is that there was no supervillains at all. That every foe Spider-Man fought either had some kind of chemical contraction or were straight up thieves or some kind of mind control and such. While for the most part that's true, you know, they were the common criminals, there were 2 exceptions that are often overlooked. You saw a couple of clips from The Curse of Rava. Well, there was a villain named Mandak in that episode who actually had telekinetic powers. Not as powerful as, say, the X-Men's Charles Xavier, but certainly on the level of, say, a Darth Vader, in that he could move objects with his mind and even did a familiar move to you Star Wars fans out there. Another example, technically, and this technically counts, is the time that a doctor with a grudge named Dr. Moon, yes, that was the character's name, Dr. Moon actually cloned Spider-Man and made an evil clone of him. So, for those that said, wait a minute, there was no supervillains in it. Well, here's the proof, folks.
Thank you.
That's right, Peter. I'm you, and you're me, and this is a gun. Now don't try any tricks, because I'm thinking with your mind, and I'm one step ahead of you all the way. So let's go outside and get a little air, Put your mask on. Move.
Now, I suspect the producers of this show probably really didn't know the lore of Spider-Man, other than he's a guy in a red and blue suit with webs that crawls up walls. That beyond that, they probably didn't know anything. Now, could they have done his like A-foes, like the Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus, which they could barely pull off Dr. Octopus in 2004? Could they have done that? No. Could they have done maybe his more mortal foes? Like the Chameleon? Or Kraven the Hunter? Or the Kingpin? Absolutely. Especially Kraven the Hunter. Because they did a character similar to Kraven over on the Incredible Hulk named John Sutton in the episode called The Snare. So he definitely could have been done. But yeah, I just showed those two clips just to show there was supervillains on that show. Just not very often. Now let's go on to the next subject. Another thing that I have to dispute is that this Peter Parker had no angst. None of the legendary Parker angst or Parker bad luck. To which I also say, bull. There was plenty of bad luck for Peter in this series. From the pilot all the way to the final episode called The Chinese Web, or if you lived overseas, The Dragon's Challenge. Especially, not only concerning himself, but especially concerning anyone that he truly cared for or anyone he really wanted to protect. Here's a few examples of that.
I'm on my way back to the garage. Where you want to go to? Hey, man, I don't want to mess with you.
Open the door, would you please? I'm not feeling well.
I'm not feeling so well myself. Excuse me, I'm in a hurry.
Look, I'm coming home from a masquerade party. Now, don't get scared.
You don't even have pockets in that suit.
Well, I'll pay you at my house.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm not taking no Spider-Man to that part of town.
You're gonna hold out on the cops and not tell them about it?
I am not satisfied with how this picture got on my roll of film.
Yeah, but you're sticking your neck out for a lady you don't know. You don't even know what she looks like.
It's not the lady, and it's not me personally. Somebody is trying to use my job as a newsman to pull a fast one.
How?
I don't know. I don't want you to know what I'm going to do. I just don't want you involved in this.
Okay, but you're asking for trouble, Peter. And being in trouble all by yourself is a lonely place to be.
Guy in jail. The guy who broke into Julie's.
The police questioned him for hours. They got absolutely nothing on him.
That's right, so why keep him there?
Are you suggesting that any criminal who refuses to talk should be released from jail?
What if the Bugle were to put up his bail money?
That's ridiculous.
It's our only chance. If he's out of jail, I'll follow him, and maybe he'll lead me to Julie.
The Bugle's not about to throw away $5,000 on some criminal who'll undoubtedly jump bail. He'll figure out he's being released so he can be followed. He'll lose you and refuse to go near any of his associates.
But Julie has been kidnapped. She could be killed.
Well, call her paper. Let them put up the bail.
And maybe get a beat on the story if the kidnappers are captured.
Well, against my better judgment. Give me the accounting department.
That's it.
How is Mr. Mann?
I don't know.
Have you checked with the hospital?
Look, thanks a lot for helping out with this. I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
What about their fingerprints as a way to find these guys?
I already got the fingerprints from the Marine Corps. I gave them to Lieutenant Olson, and he should have something for me in the morning.
Peter, it's not your fault that Mr. Min had a heart attack.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like his heart attack was caused by the strain of those guys busting into the house waving guns around.
Emily blames me for running away.
To get the police. Peter. Good night.
Emily, it's only because I have to prevent anyone from knowing that I'm Spider-Man that I ran away.
You're a coward. You left us to be killed.
If only I could tell you.
I never want to see you again.
I didn't know you had a bad heart, Mr. Min. If I had known, I wouldn't have run away. I swear I wouldn't have run away.
One difference with this version as opposed to the ones we've seen in recent years, he seems to have a lot better luck with the ladies. Whether they're just platonic friends or whether they're love interests. He doesn't seem as awkward with women in this short-lived show. And that's one thing that definitely sets him apart. I even have joked, I said, they need to have Nicholas Hammond guest star as one of the Spider-Men to come there and teach these boys how to pull or hang on to their women. I said that only half joking because I was kind of serious. I was like, shoot, this man was smooth. If you don't believe me, take a look at a few of these scenes.
Peter, let's be honest. Where were you after they took me from the recording studio?
Well, I was looking for you, of course.
Looking for me, but you found Spider-Man.
Well, actually, he found me.
How?
How? I was on my way back to your hotel.
Looking for me?
Right.
When he just happened to call you when you were there?
Yes, that's it, exactly.
You know I'm not going to give up.
You know, I was kind of hoping you wouldn't.
No, Parker. You're not bad. But you're no Spider-Man.
Well, how do you know? You've never seen me in tights.
That's true. But if you're willing to put some on, I'm willing to reconsider.
Another attempt to get you out of here for long enough to see her. It's a slim chance.
Try it, would you? Right now?
Peter, really, are you okay? I hate to see you in here.
Yeah, well, I'm not too crazy about it myself.
Guard! I think you're a terrific guy.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, come on, Rita, now cheer up.
Give me a group of one reason why I should be cheerful.
Look, we're going to get you out of this mess. Now, the Bible was returned. That's going to make it easier. Hold on just a minute.
What a stupid thing to steal. I mean, nobody could sell it.
The judge knew something was fishy. That's why he released you on your own recognizance.
The trouble is, I don't recognize me. Pete, what was I doing in that library? And how did I get there?
Just relax, Rita. We're going to figure all that out. Anyway, I've got a hunch about what happened.
For instance?
You don't know what you were doing, but your actions were patterned and they were complex. Now, to me, that indicates that you had been given orders while you were under some kind of, some kind of hypnosis.
But who? How?
That's why we're meeting, to figure out our next move.
Oh, just so it isn't a move in the new quarters. 8x5 with bars on the windows.
So, my secret is safe with you?
Of course. I won't tell anyone that you're Spider-Man. Anyway, I won't have anyone to tell. I've decided I should stay here and learn what it means to be Chinese.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I'll miss you.
Pan American flight number 2 for San Francisco, now boarding at gate 14.
Will you ever come back to Hong Kong?
Well, I have a reason to now. Did I say that all right?
Yes, perfectly. I shall always remember you, too.
Final call, please, for Pan American Airlines, flight number 2 departing for San Francisco.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were so engrossed in that work.
Well, he's a pretty engrossing old boy. What's wrong?
You mustn't touch it.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. My name is Peter Parker. I'm a photographer with the Bugle.
Trina Pandit.
You work here?
I'm a student assistant curator. I'm translating the inscription at the base of the idol.
Oh, well then you must be from exotic Calistan.
No, exotic challenges. But my grandparents are from Calistan. They came to farm a long time ago.
Well, that's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, but in reverse. You know, I'm a student here myself. I'm a grad student in physics. I'm just a photographer part-time. How come I've never seen you around?
It's a big university.
It's not that.
Now, before I go ahead and wrap this up, I had to go grab the eyeglasses. Contacts were starting to wear on me. But anyway, before I wrap this up, I wanted to show some other quick clips of the chemistry that Nicholas Hammond particularly had. And my girlfriend, Regina, the Nature Girl 30, pointed this out as well when she watched a few episodes with me. She noticed how much chemistry Nicholas Hammond particularly had with Rita Conway, better known in real life as Chip Fields. And if her last name sounds familiar and her looks look familiar, yes, she is the mother of that little cute Tootie on Facts of Life, Kim Fields, who later also is known for Living Single. But just thought I'd show a couple of clips of their chemistry together. To me, in my personal opinion, they were the only reason I used to watch that show or give it repeat. Nicholas Hammond and her, to me, carried that show, in my opinion, and made it at least a little bit entertaining. And before I show those clips, let me ask you something, and you can comment down in the comment section. Is it just me, or was the Peter Parker half is what really carried the drama in the show, not so much Spider-Man half? Which, by the way, most of the action scenes were not Nicholas Hammond. They were actually a man named Fred Wall, who did most of the wall crawling stunts in Spider-Man. But let me let you see those clips, and I'll throw in one of the most famous wall crawling clips Fred Wall did while I'm at it, while I'm showing you these clips of Peter and Rita together. Enjoy, and I'll be back to wrap.
To pull every string to get you even 24 hours. The lawyers aren't at all sure that they can get the courts to void that contempt citation.
Well, if I can't get this whole thing cleared up in 24 hours, Benita Gray is going to be in a lot of trouble.
What are you going to do?
I want the Bugle to print a special edition.
Do you realize what that would cost?
I just need one copy of one paper, dated tomorrow.
What do you want me to do?
You know Mr. Gray's coins that were supposedly stolen?
Mm-hmm.
Find out who insured them.
That's easy.
Then I want you to do an impersonation.
That sounds like fun.
Wait a minute, what are you doing with my phone?
Using it. Hi, Julie, this is Peter.
Hi.
Look, I need your help.
Say what?
I want somebody to think that the press is working on a story, and I don't want it to look like it's just coming from the Bugle.
Is it a legit story?
I'll tell you all about it tomorrow morning. Now, you just act like a nosy reporter from the Register. I think you know how to do that. It'll give it much more authenticity if the story's being investigated by more than one newspaper.
Okay. I'll hang in tomorrow until you call.
Okay. Bye-bye.
How's Mr. Jameson as a boss? Well, Corinne, I'll tell you. After 1 year on the job, I can honestly say he's different. Yeah. Oh, hey, listen, that's my other line. I'll call you later. Okay, bye-bye. Mr. Jameson's office. Uh-huh. You want him to donate to what? Honey, you got the wrong Mr. Jameson. You're welcome. The Atlantic Socialist Alliance wants Mr. Jameson to make a donation.
Mr. Jameson?
Yes, and he's so conservative, he wouldn't even eat a piece of steak if it was a little bit pink.
Rita, did I hear you say that you've been here almost a year?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Seems longer to you too, huh?
Well, I gotta tell you, it's really nice having you here. I mean, it's nice having somebody else on my side, if you know what I mean.
Well, thanks, Pete. But it works both ways. I mean, everybody needs somebody to talk to. Come on, boss. You can't expect Pete to get every photo of Spider-Man.
Oh, I can't that. Why else do you suppose I've got him on the payroll?
Now, that's not fair. Pete does a good job every time you send him out.
Which isn't nearly as often as I'd like, sir.
Keep out of this, will you, Parker?
It's true. You never put him on the big stories.
If I'd have wanted a partner to help me make decisions here, I'd have gotten one 30 years ago.
Mr. Jameson, I have an idea for a story that I think you'll really like.
You have an idea for a story?
Yes, now I'm sure you're really going to like this.
Not now, but can't you see that I'm busy?
Oh, Stan.
You know, Rita, you really shouldn't talk to him like that. He could have you fired.
He wouldn't dare.
Oh, yes, he would. And he will, too, if you make him mad enough. And he has some very important friends that could make it very difficult for you to get another job.
Oh, yeah? Well, I got some friends, too, that could make it very difficult for him to keep the tires on his rolls, if you know what I mean.
Rita, you are terrific.
For pictures, Mr. Jameson, just like the one you have right here in your hand. Right, Pete?
Right.
Man, you left yourself wide open in there. A few more seconds, Jameson would figure out some questions you might not want to answer.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Would you like me to try and think of some?
Well, to wrap this up, this is a video, like I said at the beginning. I was thinking of meaning to do it for quite a while, and I finally got around to do it. And this is probably the most time that I spent putting a video together in a long time. So, if nothing else, I hope you got a glimpse into when I was a kid. Much the way some of you look at Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, I looked at Nicholas Hammond as Spider-Man. And before I leave, every Spider-Man, at least Peter Parker version, has a "with great power" speech. Now, of course, in this version, there was no Uncle Ben getting killed. Aunt May didn't even get killed. In fact, Aunt May only appeared twice in the whole series. But there was a great power with great responsibility. And with that, I leave you with the late Joanna Cameron, better known as the Mighty Isis, back in the 1970s herself. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. And also, before I leave, definitely check out Spider-Man 77 TV fan series, which has a YouTube page, which I will put a link to down in the comments section and in the description box as well. You can check out full episodes, clips, and even interviews from Nicholas Hammond, from Ellen Bry, and even one Kim Fields herself did with her mother about this very show with her mom, Chip Fields. So I leave you with this clip. Have a good day.
Peter, how do you know that Spider-Man didn't take the plutonium?
Well, he just wouldn't do something. As a matter of fact, right now, he's probably trying to figure out who did do it.
If he's not involved, why doesn't he go to the police and prove it?
Well, Gail, it's not quite that simple. I mean, think about it. I think Spider-Man does a lot of good, but if people knew who he was, well, it just wouldn't be the same thing.
Nobody asked him to save the world.
I don't really think he wanted any part of being a superhero.
Then all he has to do is turn in his little blue tights.
And what about his conscience? What is the point of having some kind of special power if you don't use it to help people?
Okay, it could be a tough life.
And lonely. How can he ever talk to people the way we're talking right now? I mean, what kind of a life can he really have? Think about it for a minute. He has to lie to everybody. At work, to his friends. What about girlfriends? How could he ever hope to get married and just have a normal life? People think it would be really wonderful to have Spider-Man's powers. Let me tell you, I'm not so sure whether it's a blessing or a curse.
I doubt if he could have put that much better. You know, Parker, there's more to you than I thought.